What's up?
It's us. We're doing something a little different today. We're just taking in callers on the cell phone with weird stories and shit. So, got kind of an Art Bell vibe going.
Yeah.
Should be a good time. We're going to see what kind of weird shit gets brought up.
Yeah, so today, Harrison called us, and Harrison was the guy that told us about hearing some weird flute noises outside his house. So he decided to take the opportunity to call us and tell us the story, because he said there's not only the flutes, but things that prefaced up to that. So here's Harrison, and we're going to dive into his story now.
All right, so I guess I'll start at the beginning. We were we moved from Colorado to Pennsylvania last year. We haven't even been in our current house for a year yet. It was work related, and it's been great. I mean, all my family's out here, but anyways, so we've been in this house. It was built in 1925, so it's an old ass house, which we're not used to in Colorado, but out here they love the history. So nothing really happened. Like, the house felt good. Everything's been great. No issues whatsoever until I don't know. I guess it was about two, maybe three weeks ago, Saturday. My brother was visiting from Tennessee with all of his family, and my great uncles and my grandfather, they all get together on our old family farm here in Pennsylvania every morning and have coffee, every Saturday morning and have coffee. So my brother and I, we went there with his oldest son, and we left the rest of the kids and my wife and his wife at the places that they were staying. Obviously, my wife and my kids were at my house, but while we were there, my wife texted me, and she said, is your brother's wife here? Meaning here at the house that she was at. And I replied, no, why? And then she texted back, are you still home? Because I got up early to go have coffee, and my brother picked me up. And I said, no, why? What's going on? And she said, there's someone in the fucking house. And I freaked out. I fucking freaked out.
Oh, I bet, man. And that's shit like that is never comforting at all. You know, when your spouse or anybody that's in your house is like, "Are you home?" And
well,
you're like,
see,
no.
So the thing about it was, I mean, my brother and his family weren't staying with us, so they were staying at my uncle's house.
Okay.
And the whole plan was, like, his wife he was going to pick me up to go have coffee and everything, and his wife with their other two boys would come over here to hang out with my kids. But then last minute, the night before, that changed, and it was like, okay, no, I'll pick you up. We'll go have coffee, and later on we'll meet up. The wives will meet up here at my aunt's house. Okay, that's fine. So my wife knew all that shit. So the next morning, it wasn't even 8:00, and she's texting me, "Is your brother's wife here?" Because she thought maybe something changed. Maybe when he came to pick me up, he dropped off his wife. And I was like, no, she's not here. Or she's not there. And she said, well, are you still home? Because I had left before my girls were awake. I was like, no, I'm literally having coffee on the farm right now. And she said, someone's in the fucking house. And I was like, okay, get the fucking shotgun. I mean, we're gun owners. So she goes and gets the shotgun, and she clears the house. I mean, my wife knows how to use firearms. I know how to use firearms. So she clears the house. Well, my first initial thought was, well, where's the dog? She goes, the dog's in the room with me. I said, where are the girls? Like, did our oldest girl get out of bed and go downstairs? She goes, no, we're all in our bedroom with the door closed and locked. So she heard someone walking through the fucking house, because it's an old, hardwood floors from the 1920s, I'm assuming. They creak. They make a lot of noise. She hears someone, plain as day, walking through the living room into the dining room, creaking, going into our kitchen, opening up our trash can door. which, you think burglar. What fucking burglar is going to go through the trash?
Right.
So she hears all this shit. She clears the house. Nothing's in the house. I get home. I rush home. My brother brings me home. I clear the house. Nothing's in the house. Every door is locked from the inside. So nothing got in that could have locked the door on the way out. And I'm talking unless they had a key, right? So it was kind of like, okay, well, who knows? Who knows? At this point, it's like, well, who knows? Because this is the first fucking thing that's happened in this house. Who knows? Maybe you heard something. Well, then we constantly were hearing shit after that, just creaks and weird shit. And then my youngest, she's only 2. She starts to get freaked out over shit underneath our bed in our room. She's screaming and pointing underneath our bed. And she keeps saying Beetlejuice is coming, which I know that's kind of dumb, but she never said anything like this before. And then she's doing it to like the corners of the rooms. Beetlejuice is coming. And she's screaming and hiding her face. This is all out of nowhere. I'm telling you what, this is out of fucking nowhere.
Terrifying.
And so then, we're kind of like, okay, well, maybe the kids with their cousins in town, maybe they've fucking watched Beetlejuice. I don't know. Who knows? At this point, who knows? We're still kind of like, okay, it could be this. It could be this. I told my wife, I was like, okay, well, we're not watching this kind of crap around a 2-year-old. If this is what the kids were watching when I was at work and whatnot, we got to stop it because obviously it's affecting them. I'm trying to remember what fucking came next. Oh, then the fucking Flutes. It was that whole thing in the house with my wife hearing everything was a Saturday. Saturday night. Oh, and then Sunday night. I get up and go to work pretty early. I've got a really good habit. I smoke, and I've got a really good habit of making sure, especially after all this, that my fucking doors are locked. I've got 2 little girls and a wife,
Right.
When I came down Monday morning after that initial Saturday, and I went out the back door to get ready for work at I leave the house about 5 a.m. The fucking back door's wide open. And again, I'm thinking, okay, this could be human error. I'm getting paranoid at this point, but this could be human error. Did I forget? I never have, but did I? I can chalk all this up. I can explain this shit away. I can. In my mind, to me, I can explain this away. Yeah, it's weird, but I don't think too much about it. I don't say anything to my wife about it. I don't want her freaking out. There's already enough, It's fucking wide open. Anyway, so that was Monday morning, 5 o'clock Monday morning when I went to work. So that's 2 days after my wife heard some shit. And then it was, Tuesday night. I always wake up at night, and I've been diagnosed with insomnia. I always wake up for a good amount in the middle of the night. I never know what time it is because I don't keep clocks around, because I feel if I keep a clock around me and I see the time, then I won't be able to fall back to sleep. So the only clock I have is on my phone plugged in, and I never look at it, but I'm very used to waking up in the middle of the night and just kind of wide awake. Okay, toss and turn for a while. Well, then Tuesday, I think it was Tuesday night, Monday night or Tuesday night. Maybe it was Monday night and it was Tuesday. Anyways, I wake up, and here's the shit that I really couldn't convey in the Instagram was when I first woke up, I didn't hear the flutes. I woke up and heard a humming noise. And I thought it was our air conditioning. In Pennsylvania this time of the year, it's freaking hot. But if I leave the air conditioning, like the window unit on, in the middle of the night, I'll get too cold. So we turn it off and we leave our ceiling fan on. But I woke up and I heard this humming noise. It was my normal, wake up, I'm wide awake. Oh, I got to toss and turn. So I'm just laying there. I'm laying on my back. And I could even tell you the positions of my arms. And I told my wife all this. I mean, it was so bizarre. Anyways, I'm listening to this white noise, this humming noise. I'm thinking, good grief, it's got to be the air conditioning. No, I turned it off last night. I know I did. So that's when I kind of initially started to wake up and open my eyes and consider stuff. This is before the flutes. This is when I'm just kind of like, okay, what's going on here? It's not the air conditioning. I know that. What is this? Is it an airplane? That was my second thought. Was it almost sounded like when an airplane flies over and it gets to that, like, right above you, and it holds that hum, that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it didn't. The pitch didn't change. The distance between me and the noise didn't change. It was this constant white noise, and the only way I can really explain it is like when an airplane gets to that point and you can just kind of hear that loud spot before you can hear it die out and move away. You know, you when an airplane flies over, you can really hear it coming, you hear it get loud, and you can hear it going away. It was like that loud, but it stayed there. It didn't go away. It didn't come in. It didn't go away. It just stayed that loud. And so then I'm like, okay, well, why there's an airplane? Okay, well, this is kind of weird. And I'm just listening to it. And I'm listening to it. It wasn't like super loud, but inside a house, that's what it sounded like. And then I could start to hear an ice cream truck or music. That was my first thought. Was just this music playing. And I'm listening and I'm listening. And I'm listening and I'm thinking, this is the same 4 notes over and over again. This sounds like a freaking ice cream truck. I'm like, it's dark out. The street lights are on. I've been asleep. You know, I don't know what time it is, but I've been asleep. Why is there an ice cream truck? It can't be an ice cream truck. So I'm listening and I'm listening, and it's the same 4 notes over and over again. And the more I'm listening, the more I'm realizing I need to make sure I'm awake, because this sounds like flutes. And so I sit up in bed quietly. I sit up in bed. I'm listening. I'm thinking, okay, it's got to be my dog. You know, I've got a pit bull American bulldog mix. He snores. I'm thinking, okay, maybe it's his nose whistling. When dogs inhale and exhale, you can almost hear like a whistle. Maybe that's what I'm hearing. Can it be that? No, it's 4 notes. I can hear my dog breathing, and it's separate from this, and I can hear it, and it's so distinct to me that I knew it was flutes, because I could hear like almost the air that it takes to blow into it. Flutes make a distinct noise. You know, I know music, and I could hear this was freaking flutes. And I'm thinking, what in the world? And I'm just listening. I'm sitting there for, I don't know how long, 5 minutes, sitting there listening to this over and over again. And I'm contemplating, I'm thinking, and I was terrified. I'm thinking, if I wake my wife up, it's going to go away. Then I'm really going to be crazy. If I get out of this bed, it's going to go away, and then I'm going to question everything. I need to listen to this. I need to make sure that what I'm hearing is what I'm hearing. And I'm hearing it. And I got out of bed, and it even got, and this is the weird fucking thing, it even got to a point, it was playing these 4 notes, but I heard it mess up. I heard it play the wrong note. I heard it, the do, 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 do. And it was the wrong note, and it stopped. And then it went back to what it was playing. And I can hear it just go back. And I'm thinking, what is this? Someone is outside of my house playing flutes. But I listen to enough crazy podcasts to know that this is probably something else.
So it just kicked you into overdrive there. You're like, wait a minute.
I was.
Wait a minute.
I was almost in tears. But I thought, okay, let's think about this rationally. Is it someone outside of my house playing flutes? My mind's in overdrive. I'm thinking Pan. I'm thinking fairies. I'm thinking anything, because I'm worried about my kids. I'm thinking Missing 411, where Dave Paulides talks about, you know, people hearing flutes and being lured off into the woods in like a trance. And so I'm in overdrive about this. I'm thinking, are my kids still in their beds? Can they reach the doorknobs? Can they get out? Did I not hear that? Is there something going after my kids? So I went outside. Um, I didn't see anything. I didn't hear anything. It was gone. But before I went outside, I could hear it. I could hear those 4 notes, and I could hear it moving away. I could hear it playing as it slowly moved, just like it was walking away. And so then I went outside, and I freaked out. I went back inside. I talked to my wife about it. Well, it could have been this, it could have been that. Are you sure it wasn't just someone? And I said, what sense does it make for someone to be sitting out there playing a flute at midnight? Because then I looked at my phone. It was at like 12:35 at midnight, playing a flute outside of our house and slowly walking away, because that's the only thing that makes sense at this point. But then after it moved,
it doesn't even make sense at all.
No, nothing about it does. But then, get this, after it moved away, I realized that I didn't hear the white noise anymore.
That's weird.
Not to say that it moved, that the white noise was gone when it left, because as soon as I heard the flutes, I wasn't thinking about anything else. What woke me up and what got me to wake up was the white noise. Then I heard the flutes. When the flutes were gone, I realized the white noise was gone too.
So that is so weird. So it played a distinct melody, like a 4-note melody over and over again, right?
Yes. Until it messed up that one time.
Did you recognize the melody? Was it anything you were familiar with?
No, I mean, it was like 4 notes on the flute, just like
over and over.
Do, 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 do.
Yeah.
Do, do. And I sent that video, and that noise, the sound of it is really close, but it wasn't the same notes. If I remember correctly, it wasn't the same notes. I mean, losing sleep, looking up flute videos, you start to get convoluted with everything.
Right. I feel you down the rabbit hole.
But in my mind, that's what I can hear, and I know I'm flat as hell doing it, but do, 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 over and over again. I don't know for sure how long it was. I speculate about 5 minutes. It went from me sitting up to going to the window, and I was so scared. I wanted to pull the blinds back so bad, but in my head I was like, there's going to be some weird fairy troll sitting in our tree, because there's a tree right outside our window. And I was terrified. I was shaking. I have never felt fear like that. I was absolutely terrified.
Let me think here. Did it sound like a typical flute, like we think of like the metal flute, or did it sound more like a recorder? You know what I mean? Like from my research and what I tried to, because when you think flute, you just think like a pan flute. You know what I mean? Like a wooden flute. Yeah.
So I was listening to different kinds of flutes, and apparently there are different kinds. There's like the tribal, the Native American type flutes.
Yeah.
There's medieval, and there's Irish. I mean, those were the ones that I kind of looked into listening to this. The closest thing I could get to was more so Native American sounding. Just kind of the way the notes, you really have to listen to it. You know what I mean? You can tell a difference between like Renaissance flutes to Native American flutes with the way I don't know how, but there's a difference there.
That was kind of why I was asking, to try to get a grasp on what it sounded like, because that would be my next avenue to go down, is how much Native American history is in your area. You know, because like I have a huge Native American artifact collection that I've picked up from around here over the years. And I remember when I was in high school, I found these big granite grinding bowls, right? That's what I call them. I guess they were like where they ground corn down and stuff. Anyway, I come home from high school and all of my artifacts are sitting on the front porch. And I walk in and my dad's like, those are staying out there. I'm like, well, no, they're not. And he's like, yeah, they are. I'm like, why? He's like, because I was woken up today by the sound of tribal drums playing in the house.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, all right then. So
that is interesting. I didn't even think of that.
That was a avenue that I was going to take. And how long did you live in the house before this started up?
Let me think about this. I think right before Thanksgiving of last year.
So quite a while.
And this just started, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Almost a year.
Almost, yeah.
Did you let me think. Did you guys do any like work around the ground where you could have unknowingly disturbed something or work in the house? Nothing.
No, I mean, because this is where my mind goes to.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we're Christian. Like, we don't mess with anything. You know what I mean? With like Ouija and whatnot, but we didn't do really anything besides paint.
Yeah.
The inside 2 rooms. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and that was right after we moved in. So my mind went to, oh my gosh, like, is my brother messing around with this stuff? Because he was just here. Is my uncle? Because I was at his house last night. No, you know, and I'm thinking, no, this is all crazy. You know, this is all crazy. There's no reason this should have happened.
It is so bizarre, man. Once Kyle told me, I didn't get the whole story. He just said that he was talking to this guy on Instagram that had been here in Flutes. So I just started to dig into it, and there are so many accounts exactly the same as yours.
And I didn't know that until I did research, because I never would have expected this either.
Me either.
And I told my wife, I said, look, if I wanted to make up a story to catch anyone's attention, it wouldn't have been fucking flutes outside of my window.
That's what I'm saying. Because I mean, and I dive into the paranormal a lot, and I had never heard anything about flutes.
No,
man.
same.
It's so just out there. I don't even know.
It is, and it's like I said, it's not anything that I would have expected to hear. And I would have done the same thing that you did. You know, I would have been laying in bed, and I would be confused at first. Then I would probably start to panic because the noise wasn't going away. So I would have gotten up, and I most likely would have went outside. And to be 100% honest, I probably would have had my gun.
Oh, I did. Don't worry.
Right. And then I would have checked around the house, made sure everything was kosher. But then I would be even more confused because, like you were saying, you didn't see anything when you went and checked. So then your brain just goes off on all these different avenues as to what it could possibly be.
I know. It's,
you know, and I could understand like the bout of just almost just insanity, because I've kind of been there, you know, because I've told the story where I got woke up by my wife because she said lights were coming in the window. And when I looked outside, I didn't see anything, but then I noticed something way off in the distance in the sky. It was big and orange, and it was moving. And she noticed it too and was like, Kyle, what the hell is that? And I'm like, we're not going to talk about it. We're going to go back to bed. We'll talk about it in the morning. Like, I'm not dealing with this shit tonight. Because it was it was about 3 o'clock in the morning, and I said, nope, I'm going back to bed. Fuck this. I'm not listening. We're not doing this tonight. It's not happening.
I mean, I tried to go back to bed. I did. And I couldn't sleep, man. I went to work the next day. Where I work, I have to use my mind a lot. I couldn't use my mind. And people noticed, like, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? And I didn't want to say anything. This sounds so freaking stupid. You know what I mean? This is left field here.
Yeah.
I've dealt with my share of stuff. I mean, I've seen UFOs 3 times. You know what I mean? I've dealt with, my wife's dealt with demonic stuff. I've dealt with, I guess, demonic. I've dealt with some stuff, but this was something because it felt like it was going after my kids. Because my first thought was like,
that's terrifying.
Like Pan or the Piper or whatever, leading kids into the woods. And that was in that heat of the moment, man. That was my first thought.
That's kind of where, like, as I was digging, I kind of got into some Central and like South American folklore, and they have the exact same thing. I was kind of on the fence about bringing it up, but since you brought it up,
no, man, I don't care.
Because I was digging. Once Kyle told me, I'm like, man, this is just so fucking weird. I have to dive into it. You know, like it's so out of left field.
Yeah, I sound crazy. Tell me about it.
And it's like, it's just something that I'd never heard before. And then once I started finding more and more people with the same experience, I'm like, there's clearly something going on here. So I was researching, and I found this article about this woman went to Costa Rica on this class trip, but they heard this legend of what they call the Toucan Man. They explained that their tour guide told them the legend of the Toucan Man, a man in the forest who hypnotizes children with a flute and kidnaps them, sometimes for a short period of time, sometimes forever. Their tour guide had claimed to be taken by the Toucan Man. She lifted her shirt to expose huge scars of gashes on her back. He had enticed her into the woods with his flute, and she returned 4 days later with no recollection of what happened.
What the fuck?
The story goes on to kind of compare it to this being called the Duende. It says those that are abducted by the Duende often have no memory of it. Significantly, the Duende uses music to enchant people and signify his presence, though typically he plays the guitar, not a flute. However, several legends state that the Duende is also associated with a whistling flute-like sound. As one version of the Duende common to Belize, his approach is heralded by a whistling sound, much like the wind. So I mean, they're all sorts.
Where was the Duende from?
All kinds of places in like Central and South America, Belize, Costa Rica.
I feel like I've heard that name before.
I have too, and
so this is cultural though.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
This sounds cultural between
almost,
Toucan Man and Duende.
Yeah, but it's almost like every culture has an aspect of it. They said, like
it's like Bigfoot. They just
renderings of the
Right.
Duende says the figure is similar in many respects to Irish leprechauns, trickster in nature, guarding treasure.
Fuck.
so you could
English fairies.
You could link that
I'm not
to
dealing
Pan.
with no fucking leprechauns, man.
Maybe there's treasure, dog. Maybe there's.
No, all you get. Well, if it's
Fuck
anything like
that,
the if it's
dude.
anything
I
like the
can't aim low.
movies, if it's anything like the movies, just throw a bunch of shoes and run. Because then he has to clean
Dude, I
them all.
spend way too much money on my shoes to be throwing them at something.
Feel that, but like it's so weird that like every culture has something almost tied to this, and
Yeah.
yet like no one's talking about it. No
Because
one's
you could
talking
go.
about it.
I mean, like we were in the beginning, you could go right back to Pan.
Yeah,
Pan could be the crossover, in a different culture, so to speak.
Well, and that's where I go as a Christian guy. I mean, I'm not your typical Christian guy, but because I swear and shit. But like, you got to think about that. If Pan, I mean, Aleister Crowley looked into Pan. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
yeah.
If you think about it in a demonic sense, what if this shit is just out there? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and clearly there's so many accounts of it. Something's
Yeah.
fucking going on.
And then it
Yeah.
gives me goosebumps when you equate that to your child seeing Beetlejuice out of nowhere.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Like,
I
that's
haven't
terrifying.
even finished my shit, dude. I stopped at the flutes.
So it's still going on.
Great, there's more.
still stuff.
Yeah. No
Okay.
shit. It's still going on. So.
Carry on. I didn't mean to interrupt you there.
No, you guys are fine. It's fine. We're just the flutes was the big thing because that's what like I wasn't there. I mean, with my daughter under the bed, like saying Beetlejuice and shit like that. Like I just came into the room and my wife's on her hands and knees looking under the bed, like she's freaking out about something under the bed. Anyway, so I wasn't there for that or that morning when she heard some stuff. I was there for the flutes though, so that's like the big thing for me. So after the flutes, I'm already on high edge. Like I haven't slept. I'm borderline obsessing over trying to figure out what in the heck it is. Oh, I can't even remember. It might have been two nights after that. So that would have been a Monday night. So maybe Wednesday or Thursday night. I can't give you the exact times. Everything's such a blur at this point. My youngest, the one that's freaking out over Beetlejuice, wakes up in the middle of the night, which she's usually a really good sleeper. It's very rare for her to wake up. And I'm dirt fucking tired. My wife knows that I've got to get up and go to work. So she goes and takes care of the kiddo. My wife's really actually pretty sensitive to shit like this, but she goes into the room to kind of calm her down. And obviously at this point she thinks I'm batshit crazy, which I probably am, but she goes in there and she can't calm her down. She can't calm her down. She tries crawling in the crib with her, try to calm her down. But apparently, and this is just what she told me, the entire time that she's holding her, she's trying to calm her down from crying, she's crawling in the crib with her, my daughter is pointing at the closet door and she won't take her eyes off the closet door. And she's just crying and pointing and fussing at this closet door. And she kept saying, it's scary, 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 it's scary. So my wife brought her into bed with us. And then, like, after that, you know, my wife and I, being Christians, like, I went full on praying Jesus' name over the entire fucking house. You know what I mean? Like, at this point, it's like, okay, it is trying to go after my fucking kids. I mean, before it was paranoia, but now it's attacking my youngest.
That's terrifying.
Dude, it reminds me of Maddox when I was bringing him in that day, and he was
that's
losing
what I
his
was
mind.
Thinking, like, when he was talking about being scared and shit earlier, like, I was just thinking, I'm like, me and Steve, ironically both know that fear you're talking about. When I was gonna say reference Steve with Maddox, because that's like you were just saying, that is right up the alley of what this guy's going through right now. Because Maddox was just as fucking terrified.
Oh yeah, he was my youngest boy. One day I was bringing him. I don't know how far back in the show you've listened to, but I was bringing him in one day from out of the car, and he was asleep on my shoulder. And my front yard is a cemetery, basically. You walk out across the street, cemetery.
Oh, that's solid, man.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
he wakes up, and he just starts losing his shit, pointing over my shoulder, just screaming, "They're gonna get us! They're gonna get us! They're gonna get us!" So in my brain, he's still asleep. Maybe had a bad dream. So I bring him in, get him gathered, set him on the chair, and he makes me lock the door. Won't let me go back out and get the groceries. And he is just absolutely terrified at whatever he saw out there. So I completely sympathize with you. That's a different kind of fear as a father. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like something's after your kids, and you don't know what the hell it is. You don't know what you're supposed to do to protect them. You don't even know what your next move is.
Right. And that's what really just terrifies me. It flat out pisses me off. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
I don't even know. I mean, thankfully, as of late, things have died down a little bit. We still hear some stuff, but at this point, we kind of chalk it up to, well, it's an old house, you know. These might just be normal creaks. You know, we haven't even been in this house for a year yet. You know, we haven't been here from the heat to it getting a little bit cooler at night now. Maybe it's just the house settling. Maybe it's just creaks. You know what I mean? It's just, but we never heard it before. That's the thing. That's the weird thing. This has been normal, everyday life.
It's man, I don't know.
It's so bizarre that it just comes right out of left field.
And
dude,
like, there's
the
nothing.
Flutes.
Yeah,
the Flutes was the biggest thing.
Oh,
Like I said, I've dealt with, you know, in our old house, I've dealt with stuff moving around. Like my dog would catch wind of it and it would freak me out. That was before we had kids, and my wife's dealt with shit, and we've seen UFOs twice, and I've seen them a third time when I was out hunting in Wyoming and I recorded it. You know, I've seen UFOs and shit, like, but there was a different kind of essence to it when you hear these, when you think it's coming after your kids.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, it's a whole different. That's a whole different
the only thing
beast in itself.
Like the only thing I can think of is was it trying to lure you out of your house?
Don't tell me that.
Because the more I look into these accounts, people are like, yeah, the Fae or whatever use it to lure people out into traps and this and that. And
I guarantee you, I would have walked outside.
Yeah, with kids in your house, you're gonna go check it out.
Guaranteed.
It's not even thinking second nature. Like I'm.
Well, and then the scary thing is, and I don't really want to bring it up, but I'm gonna bring it up, is how you stress that you don't check the time, and in reading these accounts, there's accounts where you hear the flutes, you go out there, and then you don't remember anything about,
like the duende when they take you don't remember it.
Yeah.
So what do you mean that you don't remember what?
You don't remember being taken.
Like so
you
theory,
could have went out to investigate it.
Yes.
What if it did take you and then dropped you back off, but you weren't aware of the time?
Yeah, you didn't have a time reference.
So you could have had a chunk of missing time in there that you're just unaware of.
Don't fuck with me here.
Not trying to fuck with you at all. It just
I know.
it's just where my brain went because you said you didn't check the time.
I can't say that I don't think that would have happened just because, well, I don't know. I know I was awake. I know that.
Right.
I mean, I grabbed the gun. I ran out in my friggin' boxers. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
I was in panic mode, and I walked around. Like, it sounded like it was coming from right outside my window, which is on a second story. You know, there's a tree right outside. Like I said, I was worried that if I pulled the blinds back, that there'd be something sitting in that freaking tree. Because it sounded like it. That's exactly what it sounded like. Like something was sitting in the tree or on the roof. And I'm thinking, and so then I ran out.
Oh, man.
Like the fact that you say it's in the tree, like it just makes me go right back to Pan again.
Yeah, Pan or something of the sorts. That's what I keep seeing in my brain too. Just
or I guess the Fae. That Fae would make sense as well.
Sitting there playing his flute, you know, just I mean,
hopefully he was just trolling you.
And like, I keep seeing more and more accounts. Like in Hawaii, they have these things called the Night Marchers, which they reference like warriors of the past, and you'll hear them playing drums. And
that's kind of cool.
Playing flutes. And
as long as they're not nefarious, then that's kind of cool. I'd get down with that.
Well, here's the weird thing. Like, you think this kind of crap would happen, like, kind of out in the country. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Dude, I've got 2 trees in my yard. I live off of a pretty main road. Like, we're in a suburban town.
Like when I first heard it, I'm going through my head, like trying to exclude like normal things that could cause it. Do you have a neighbor that was practicing the flute, you know, and their window was open or some shit? Like I'm just trying to knock out.
Oh, I know. I was there too. I was there. Like I told you, I was borderline obsessed over this, trying to figure it out.
The more normal of an explanation, the better, you know,
right.
In my book.
Problem is there's none. So before all this happened, and this is the only thing I can really, I mean, it's my paranoia, but we were out hiking on my family farm with my brother when he was in town and all the kids. They own like 80 acres and it's kind of a drive from us, but whatever. We're out hiking on the property and we're having a good time. And my brother's into this kind of shit too. You know, he's the one that told me about you guys. And, we're just out hiking. We're kind of joking around and shooting the shit. And I kind of made a joke about the Fae. I'm like, oh yeah, you know, maybe it's fairies, you know, maybe it's the Fae. And he dead ass looks at me and says, "You're not supposed to talk about them. I don't talk about this kind of shit."
Oops.
And I was like, "What do you mean?" And he goes, "Apparently, if you talk about them, that's when you get them worked up." He goes, "Let's just not talk about it." And he we dropped it, like, and that was a couple of days, 2 or 3 days. And so then that's running through my mind, you know, like, oh fuck, what did I conjure up here? You know, with this out in the woods, you know, out in the farmlands here in Pennsylvania. And now I'm back in my suburban house and now I'm hearing fucking flutes. You know, what in the world is going on?
That's not out of the realm of possibility. Because I know the Fae, like from what me and Steve have looked into, they are very particular about everything when it involves them.
And they love to
fuck with you.
They
love it.
I know we've got...
But we live like, what, 40? Come on. Is that really? 40? I mean, I don't know.
I have no idea either.
I don't know either, dog.
But I mean, if you believe in their lore, everything that, except for maybe your Beetlejuice thing, because that for me, that's the curveball. Assuming they're linked, which they don't need to be, but you just kind of, you know, one happened kind of right after the other, so you kind of automatically link it, but it's not necessarily the case. And I don't know shitloads about fairy lore. Now, my buddy John, he has recently been digging into it hardcore for me, so we'll see when he listens to this episode what he comes up with. I'm sure he's going to text me some similarities that he's able to find.
We've got a few listeners who dig deep into it.
Yeah.
I know Emily and Noretta, if you guys are checking this out.
Oh yeah, that's true too.
Because I mean, could what your daughter is seeing be related to fair lore, but she's just equating it with something she's familiar with, maybe?
100% possible.
You know what I mean?
That's kind of what my fear was. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Like if you want to go into any realm of supernatural, whatever, it seems that it can take shapes, especially when and you know, I hate to say this, but it goes after the innocent or the weak. You know, and that's what really aggravated me and pissed me off because I'm thinking it always goes after that kind of shit, you know. And so being a 2-year-old, or even being like my oldest is 5 now, like my first thought was, oh my fucking gosh, what if she hears fucking flutes and she just wants to check it out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then my daughter, Beetlejuice, you know, scary. It doesn't make any fucking sense.
No.
I'm looking up how to protect yourself from evil fae. It says iron protection from evil fays, bells and chimes will protect you.
There you go. Get you some wind chimes.
Yeah.
Ironically, my 5-year-old loves wind chimes.
Perfect.
Win-win.
Man, it's
bizarre.
You can try to.
Like I said, if I wanted to make up a story, I would have made up a lot better one than this. This is so left field.
It is.
You know,
really
people
is.
at work, like I was batshit crazy the day after at work, and everyone noticed. They're asking me, and I trust a couple guys there a little bit, you know, because I'm fairly new. And I told them, and they're like, "Oh man, you're fucking crazy." And they made it a joke, you know, and which, whatever, it sounds crazy. I get it. It sounds crazy. You know, if I wanted to be liked at work or be on a podcast or anything, I would have made up a better freaking story than this.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're trying to be a tough guy, you're not gonna express your fear on the side. You know, you're gonna.
I'm looking for answers,
right?
And I don't know. I don't even know anymore.
I'm with you, man. Like me and Steve have had our bout of weird shit that's happened to us, and we, you know, it's kind of a shitty episode because it was our very first episode, but we go through almost virtually all of our own personal encounters. And I have been in your shoes where I have been so fucking terrified when I was hearing shit run on my roof and follow me as I walked through the house. That was probably one of the most scared I've ever been in my entire life. It's a fear that you can't even describe. It's so primal.
What did you do? What did you do to get rid of it?
Well, I was super young, and I didn't know what to do. I even tried waking my mom up, and she just ends up calling me nuts and goes right back to sleep. So I walked through the house, and I could hear, like I walked past the door, and I could hear banging on the door, like something's banging trying to get in. And then I go lay in bed, and I could hear the banging underneath the window because the window is right next to the bed. And me being young, all I did was turn the TV on and turn it up loud enough where I basically virtually couldn't hear it. And then after so long, I must have just ended up passing out. So I never really officially did anything to make it go away. But
just ignore it.
Yeah. And I mean, I remember telling Steve about that story, and he's like, "Hey, Kyle, as a matter of fact, there are alien encounters that involve giant black dogs and this, that, and the other." And I'm like, "Oh, awesome. Thanks, Steve. You're great."
Sorry. I'm just trying to get answers, dog.
I mean, I feel you. Like, that's one of my biggest fears is aliens.
But you say you just ignored it and it went away. But then I also, like, talking with my brother, he says, I feel like the more we talk about it, the worse it gets.
Oh, I'm sure. We've
had multiple accounts of people calling in, talking about their experiences, usually with attributed to like hauntings and stuff. And as soon as they acknowledge it, it's like it ramps up. So I don't know.
Awesome.
Hopefully that's not the case.
Yeah, I hope you don't hear the flutes again.
Yeah,
at all.
Here's I'm looking up some ways to ward off fairies. They said iron protection. Said for centuries that fairies fear iron. Hang an iron horseshoe above your front door to ward off the evil fairies. Bells and chimes. Bells are also said to have frightened off evil fairies in medieval Ireland and elsewhere in Europe, specifically big, deep-sounding church bells that would ring right to draw people to the church. So this theory can be applied to your home by hanging deep-toned wind chimes on your front or back porch. I mean, it couldn't hurt.
No, it couldn't.
You could try appeasing them by leaving them snacks. So
I wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
I'm not looking
don't
to feed
feed
no
the fairy.
Bigfoot or
No,
fairies out here.
no. Because I remember when we covered the Fae in an episode, like that could be a kickoff
Yeah.
to having them come around.
Let's invite more of our Fae friends
Yes.
over to the
Like, this
free
guy's
buffet.
giving out.
That sounds like gifting, man.
Fae buffet.
Yeah, exactly. And
I'm not feeding no stray shit out here.
no. And they have such a, like, assuming all the lore about Fae is real, they have such a they have a meticulous way in handling the Fae. Like, they're, like Steve said, they're very much into being tricksters, and I think you're not supposed to give them your real name, like all this, so many rules and regulations when dealing with the Fae.
Yeah, we did an episode, I think it's called What the Fork, where
Yeah.
Forks,
I remember that
yeah,
one. That
Forks
one
started
made me
going
laugh
missing.
my ass
I'm
off.
like,
Yeah.
man, the more I look into it, they're like, it's fairies, bro. It's Fae. And then I'm finding more and more and more people talking about losing their silverware and shit. I'm like, what in the fuck is even going on?
Yeah, I remember
anymore?
that growing up. My parents would always lose freaking silverware, and it almost just became a joke around the house.
Right.
Like, how is this even happening? I don't know, man. It's wild. I wish I had better answers for you, but I am at the same loss that you are.
I'm just glad that someone doesn't think I'm freaking crazy.
Absolutely
Nah,
not.
dog.
Not even close, man.
No.
Man, this is some weird stuff. Like I said, I can't make this up.
It is bizarre.
And then when you were talking to me, that's kind of how I pitched it to Steve. I'm like, dude, this guy is genuinely concerned with what the fuck's going on, because all he does is keep telling me he's not fucking crazy. And
I'm not,
like,
man.
he's stressed
Bro,
out.
we believe you.
It
I don't
doesn't
know.
make sense, though. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I don't know.
Yep.
Paranormal, not normal, beyond normal.
Well, it was like when I watched Hellier season 2, and they started to invoke Pan. Like
I wouldn't watch that.
When we watched that, when me and my wife watched that together, I felt weird. Like,
Yeah,
I felt like
I believe
I
it.
was actually part of a ritual.
Dude, that's what people were saying. Like,
and I'm like,
Yeah.
like
you should have prefaced this.
they televised it because they like maybe they did it unknowingly, but they needed so many bodies to be part of the ritual that they put it out
dude,
there.
that's
Now all of us
fucked
that
up.
watched
That's
it.
messed up. Now I got into that pretty big, and then my brother's like, "Hey, no, man." They start doing some weird stuff with Pan. I wouldn't watch season 2, and so then we turned it off. Like, I'm not, dude. I'm super critical about what we allow in this house. We've dealt with enough. Like, we don't watch scary movies. You know what I mean? Like, Scooby-Doo's about as scary as it gets around here. And it's because I don't want that energy. I don't want my kids to be afraid. And even Scooby-Doo, when I was growing up, Scooby-Doo scared me, but now it's kind of a joke. But it's like, I don't want that.
Yeah.
I don't blame you, and you could be the type of person that's more sensitive to it, and your children as well. So, I mean, I could totally understand you wanting to keep all that mojo out of the house, for sure.
Yeah, I feel that. I don't know, brother. It's weird.
Yeah,
It is
fucking
weird.
yeah. It's fucking something.
And the more I dig, the more questions I have than answers. So I don't know.
What really brought me to good terms with it was like you guys getting back to me on Instagram, because for once in all this I didn't feel crazy, and it actually kind of calmed me down a little bit. Because at first it was like, even I know my wife supports me, but it was even just like, man, this sounds so freaking stupid. It doesn't make any sense. And you might tell me that you believe me, but do you really? But it was really good to just have someone
Oh, dude,
to just say, no, it's fine. You're it's not that bad. It's not that far-fetched, even though it is, but
no.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than knowing you saw something and knowing you heard something and everybody else telling you that you didn't.
Well, then you start to question your own sanity.
Yeah, and that's not
and I did.
a place
And
where
I did.
anybody
So
needs to be.
So the next day, like I'm still on edge. I'm running off of like 2 hours of sleep because I couldn't sleep. And I get home and I'm hanging out with the family, and I'm listening to flute noises, and I'm like, this is what I heard. No, 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 no. This is what I heard. No, no, no. This is what I heard. No, 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 no. You know, just like going through the videos and trying to find the closest thing. And it was starting to calm down. Okay. You know, maybe I'm just crazy. Maybe now I'm tired. You know, I'm starting to calm down. Okay, whatever. I laid down in bed that night, and it was like PTSD. I even rolled over and looked at my wife and said, I'm almost having what, I guess, PTSD. I mean, not to sound, you know, like, oh, but I could hear it again. I could feel what I was feeling again. As soon as I laid down and the lights were off and I could see the lights the way they were from the street lights shining in between the blinds, and, you know, hearing the traffic and the darkness of the room, I could hear the flutes in my head again. Like it all came back. And I was like, I know this happened.
Yeah.
I know this happened. I know I'm not crazy because I can almost visualize it, hear it. Everything is coming back to me again. It's like my mind is getting cleared up again, just laying down. This fucking happened.
It's traumatic. The paranormal and the unknown, when it strikes you like that, it's trauma. And the fact that it's still taboo and people don't want to talk about it and people feel the need to like suppress it is disheartening.
Yeah. I totally agree with that.
Because like my episodes of sleep paralysis and shit like that is probably, outside of having anything to do with my kids, that is the most terrified I've ever been, is probably in my sleep paralysis.
Yeah, I've had sleep paralysis before too in my old house. I haven't had it recently.
And it's just it's a fear I can't even explain. Like, I don't know. It's just primal terror.
It's because you don't have control.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. And I don't know. It makes me feel good that like what you just said, that we're kind of, I always use the term like a safe place for people to come and talk about it.
I'll tell you what, like, I was just replying to me when I sent that out, because I was looking for help wherever I could. And it's just like, man, I'm not going to tell the pastor of my church. This is fucking bizarre. I'm not, I don't even want to tell my parents, even though, my dad's like super big into like Bigfoot and Dogman. That's probably why I enjoy this stuff. And my brother, I didn't even want to tell them. It was just like, man, who do I reach out to? Like, I told my wife, but and some people at work, just because I needed something.
Yeah.
And then just even you guys replying, it was almost a sense of relief. Like, oh my gosh, someone out there doesn't think I'm fucking crazy.
If you're crazy, then we're tenfold crazy. Like, I'll just put that out there.
That's the reason that I wanted to start this, is to give people a platform to get their stories out there, because I almost guarantee you when this airs, there's probably people that are listening that have heard the exact same shit out there.
Guarantee it.
I don't want to say I hope so, because I really feel bad if anyone else has dealt with this. Obviously, there are people that have, but I hope so, because I want to hear it too. You know what I mean? I want to hear from this too.
Yeah,
yeah, it's like a hunt for. It's like us hunting for egress. Like right now, this flute is your egress.
Wow. Yeah.
You
know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I feel that, like, you want an answer. You have to know. I wish I had the answers, but man, the more, like I said, the more I dig, the fact that it's in almost every culture have dealt with it, makes it so much bigger than what we think. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
I guess where it comes down to, and this is what I've told my wife and my brother since all this, it doesn't really matter what it was that happened. I want to know why it happened.
Yeah.
I don't need an explanation for the sound of the flutes. I need an explanation for why it happened.
I feel like that's fair. I feel like that's a fair.
I feel that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
For sure.
Why
you
me?
Just or was it something you weren't supposed to hear? It could fall into that category. You just happen to wake up at the wrong time, and now you're pulled into this.
But I still don't understand the white noise, though.
Yeah, that's another weird.
Yeah, that is.
Because, I mean, I looked at my air conditioning. I'm like, nope, the lights are off. That's not running. That's not it. And that's initially what it was. And it's like, then my mind starts going, is this freaking UFO? You know what I mean? Am I about to get my ass abducted? Are they luring me out of the house?
That's where me and Kyle go first on everything.
Yeah. Yep.
It is bizarre, man. I'll tell you what, I'm gonna keep digging into it, and if I come across any kind of new information, I'll get it to Kyle and he'll run it to you on Instagram, because
I really appreciate it.
Now I need to know. I'm sucked into it. I'm gonna be listening for Flutes outside and shit now.
Yeah, please don't.
Maybe I can distract them from you and just like lure them over here.
Then please do.
But you said things have kind of calmed down, so that's good.
Lately, and I mean, we believe that it's because we prayed over the house.
I was gonna mention that, since you said you're religious, maybe try. It's good that you did pray over the house. I don't know I know people do sage cleansing or like holy water, holy oil.
I did oil. I mean, I grew up with my dad would always anoint entryways with oil and pray over it, and so that's what I did. And I mean, things still, I'm not going to say that things completely went away. They got a little bit better, but we continued, my wife and I, like even when I was at work, my wife would just go around the house praying, and they've seemed to calm down now. I mean, that's fucking good. Knock on wood, right?
Right.
But that's good though. That's good.
Yeah, definitely.
Man, it's wild. I hate that I don't have more answers.
It's like anything in the paranormal. Are we ever really going to get answers?
Heard that.
We're trying, but most likely it's just going to be more questions.
And as soon as you get answers, you're going to be committing suicide with 2 bullet holes in the head. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Silenced out, that's for sure.
It seems to happen to all the greats.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is when you really want to. I feel like if you dig into it too much, then you kind of feel repercussions, because I think there's a lot out there that we're not supposed to know about.
I fully believe that.
Yep, for sure.
100%.
I mean, I do so much digging, but I draw the line somewhere, just because I love my family. Like, dealing with this was one thing. Like, I'm not. Tell you what, if there's a van that shows up outside of my house, that's a little bit more physical than a flute playing fairy. You know what I mean?
Me and Kyle were talking about it yesterday. Like, spending all of our time looking into this, it gets heavy.
It does.
It weighs on you after a while.
Yeah,
you gotta have to take a break from it.
You gotta shut it off once in a while.
I don't know. It is a weird fucking world out there, my friend. Understatement of the century, right?
Especially right now.
Yeah, no kidding. Maybe the world did end. Who knows? Yeah. This is all just some weird reality trip.
It wouldn't even surprise me.
That's what I was just getting ready to say. I'm like, at this point,
nothing shocks me.
I feel like all bets are off.
Kyle's head could split open and a UFO could fly out, and I'd be like, you know what? That's kind of part of the course this year. It's kind of right on with it. But I appreciate you so much for calling in and sharing your story with us. When Kyle told me. When Kyle told me, I'm like, we have to talk to him. I don't care if he writes an email in. I'm like, I'm going headfirst into this to see how much.
Oh man,
he was excited
when he first told me this. He was outside smoking, and I'm on my phone. I'm like googling flute noises in the woods and shit. And I don't know.
I appreciate you guys. I felt such a. I mean, you could. Obviously you won't, but you can ask my wife, and she will tell you, like, there was a change in me when I actually got some sort of feeling of validation, and
that's awesome.
Good. We needed that this week.
Yeah.
You guys are
a long week. We needed that little.
I'll tell you what. Besides that, you guys, like, ever since I got into you, since we moved out here and I started this new job, like. My Mondays, I look forward to Mondays. I know that's kind of a hard thing to hear for a lot of working people, but Mondays are one of my favorite days because I get a new episode. You know what I mean?
That's awesome.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, you're gonna be like the next new episode, so.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
There's that.
And hopefully, like I said, I don't hope the weird on anybody, but hopefully we have people that if they have experience, they'll reach out to us, so maybe we can kind of go full circle on this thing and see what's up.
Yeah,
we'll definitely chase it.
Yeah, and if you hear anything, let me know, because
Absolutely,
this is
man.
just beyond me.
Yeah, I got you on Instagram, so whatever we find, I'll shoot it your way.
Yeah, I'll keep digging
I
too.
appreciate it.
Like I'll send Kyle that link about the Duende and stuff, and you can look into that. It's just a little article, but any information helps. So yeah, thanks so much for.
No, thank you guys.
calling
You
in
guys,
tonight.
you guys rock, man. I mean, if I had iTunes, then I'd give you 5 stars. But I'm old
We'll
school.
take
You
it.
know what I
We'll
mean?
take it.
Hey, 5-star rating right here, guys.
Hey, there you go.
You
We'll
heard
take
it.
it. We'll take it, brother.
All right, you guys have a great night. I really appreciate you both.
You
All
as well, man. You and your family be safe.
Yeah, you guys too.
Thank
Take
you.
care of yourselves.
See ya.
All right, bye.
Bye.